The continuation of the pop quiz. As you can see, an object with the initial velocity of 4, the starting velocity is 4. The velocity of an object changes so that the final velocity is 3. Which arrow represents the change in the velocity? Whenever we calculate the change in the velocity, it's the final velocity minus the initial velocity. So this is a vector diagram. In a vector diagram, if we need the final minus initial, so first we draw the final velocity. So we do a final velocity same length we should draw as it's given in the question. We do the final velocity. Then negative initial velocity. If the initial velocity is toward the right hand side, what will the direction of the negative initial velocity? That will be towards left hand side. So when we draw the negative of the initial velocity, so this will be the negative of the initial velocity. And what about the resultant? Whenever we need the resultant, it's always from tail of the first, like from the start till the end. We draw an arrow to show the resultant. So what will the change in the velocity? So this arrow will represent the change in velocity. So you'll check which option it matches with. So it matches with option B. So B will be the right answer. Is it clear, this one? How we worked out the change in the velocity?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I will repeat. Look, in the question, an object is moving at an initial velocity of 4 meters per second. So this is the initial speed of an object. To the right, the velocity of an object changes, so the final velocity is 3 meters per second downward. The question is, which arrow represent the change in the velocity? So if you want a change, like example, if this is V, this is U, the change in velocity means V minus U. So in terms of the vector, what is V minus U? So first we have to draw V, because in a vector, it is important. As I mentioned, remember, V minus U is not equal to U minus V in vectors. So that's why in a vector, it is important. The vector which is written first, you should draw first. So first what we will draw V. Same length as it is given. So we do V. Next, we will draw U or negative U, depend, because we need the change in the velocity. So we need the negative U. So if U is directed towards the right hand side, the negative U will point towards the left hand side. So that's why when we were drawing the negative U, because we need V minus U, not V plus U. That's why we drew in opposite direction of the U. So this is equals to negative U. So what about the resultant? It's a change in velocity. So when we draw a vector from the tail of the first to the head of the last, when we join them, this will be equals to the resultant, which is also V minus U. So what is it match with? It match with option B. Is it clear now? So because the question was change in velocity, that's why we need V minus U. If the question was V plus U, like addition of the two velocities, in that case, we don't have to change the direction. We just draw any one of the vector we can draw first, then the second and tail of the first to the head of the last. That will be the resultant. In this question, a car travels anti-clockwise along a horizontal circular road of a radius 12 millimeter. As shown, the car takes 4 seconds to move from position P to position Q. What is the magnitude of average velocity, not average speed, average velocity? So if you want to work out the average velocity, it is the total displacement divided by total time. How to work out the displacement? When we draw an arrow from tail of the first to the head of the last, that will be the displacement. So this is the displacement. So if this is a displacement, this is the radius, so that will also be 12. So what is this displacement? Because it is making a right angle triangle, and this displacement is representing the hypotenuse. So we'll use a Pythagoras theorem to work out this displacement. So the displacement will be equals to base square plus perpendicular square in a root. So 12 square plus 12 square in a root. What's the answer for the sum of square 12 square plus 12 square in a root?
16.97.
So 16.97 is the total displacement. But we need the average velocity, which is the displacement over time. So 16.97 divided by 4. So it will be A, so 4.2. A will be the right answer. Is it clear, this one?
Yes.
Next is the last question of this pop quiz. A water surface in a deep well, which is 78 meter. Why can't we just say the circumference of, if we say a circumference of the quarter, it means we are finding an average speed. What if the same question was there and find the average speed? The average speed is the total distance divided by time. So I'll take a 3 by 4 of the circumference, like 3 by 4 of 2 pi r, which is like 6 pi r, and then divided by time. But we need the velocity. To work out the velocity, you need displacement, not distance. In this question, the water surface in a deep well, 78 meter below. So example, there's a deep well and the water surface is 78 meter below this. A person at the top of a well drops a heavy stone. The air resistance is neglected. So if air resistance is neglected, it means the acceleration is equal to the gravity, which is 9.8. The speed of a sound in air is 330 meters per second. What is the time travel between a person dropping the stone and hearing it hitting the water surface? So what will happen first? Example, if this is representing the stone will fall. So stone will take some time to reach the bottom. Say this time is T1. Then when the stone hits the water surface, it produces a sound and the sound will take time to reach us. That time will be T2. So what is the total time interval between a person dropping a stone and hearing the sound, hearing it hitting the water surface? So that will be equal to T1 plus T2. Because like stone will go down, it hits the water surface, the sound will move in all the directions, but upward cover a distance of 78 meters and then we'll hear. So what we have to do, we have to find the time taken by stone to hit the ground, and we have to find the time taken by sound to reach the top, and we'll just add the two time intervals. That will be the total time between the time interval between a person dropping a stone and hearing it from the water. So, but when a stone is falling, it is accelerating. So when object is dropped, initial velocity is 0. Without air resistance, the acceleration is due to gravity 9.8 meters per second square. And the distance is given 78. So we'll just use the equation of the motion. So S is equals to ut plus half at square. S is a distance which is 78. Initial velocity is 0 plus half. Acceleration is due to gravity 9.8 and then t square. This whole factor will be 0. So 78 equals 4.9 t square. How 4.9? Because 9.8 divided by 2, that makes 4.9. Then 78 divided by 4.9 is equals to t square. And then t will take a root. What's the answer of 78 divided by 4.9 in a root? 3.99. Look, whenever we take a root, we get the two roots like positive and negative. But in case of a time, we don't ignore the negative root because time cannot be negative. So it means the time taken by the stone to reach the ground, to reach the water surface, that is 3.99 seconds. Then how much time the sound will take to reach the top? Because the sound is not accelerating. If the object does not accelerate, then the formula speed is distance divided by time. Because it's not, whenever no acceleration, we use simple formula speed is distance over time. whenever there's an acceleration, we always use the equation of the motion. It won't take the same time because the stone was accelerating, but the sound does not accelerate. Sound travel at a constant speed, which is 330 meters per second. So the second time interval, the distance is again 78, and the speed of the sound is 330. So 78 divided by 330, the time taken by a sound is equals to 0.236 seconds. So the stone take 3.99 seconds, and the sound took 0.236 seconds. What the question is, what is the time interval between a person dropping a stone and hearing a sound? So what is the time interval? So we will simply add them. So 3.99 plus 0.236. What's the answer?
4.22.
So 4.22. So that's why D will be the right answer. Is it clear, this question?
Yes.
Anyone else having a doubt or want me to repeat? So this was a pop quiz, weekly pop quiz 1, which was related to the physical quantities.